Rain drummed on the roadside diner's windows. Tired neon lights flickered yellow. Wind chimes tinkled softly near the door. Three bikers cornered a young woman in leather jacket, fresh bruises visible on her collarbone. Their laughter echoed harsh, mixing gasoline smell with cheap beer. At the back table, a man in a worn flannel shirt looked up from his soup. Beside him, a little girl clutched her milkshake, blue straw trembling in her grip. When the biggest biker grabbed the woman's wrist, the man set down his spoon, voice deep and clear. "You made a mistake." The blue straw snapped quietly under the girl's fingers. The entire diner fell silent. Jack Rowan sat by the window, watching rain streak down the glass, while his 10-year-old daughter Maya folded origami cranes from paper napkins. She had a collection of them lined up on the table, each one carefully creased with quiet concentration. "Look, Dad," she whispered, holding up a blue crane. "This one's my favorite." Jack smiled and ruffled her hair. "It's beautiful, sweetheart." The peaceful moment shattered when the door crashed open. Three motorcycles roared to a stop outside. Rex Dalton and his Iron Howl MC crew stomped in, bringing the smell of leather, engine oil, and trouble. Rex, the biggest of them, had a sleeve of tattoos and a face that had seen too many bar fights. His eyes scanned the diner like a predator. Behind him, brick and talons spread out, blocking exits with practiced efficiency. "Change the music," Rex barked at Agnes, the elderly owner. "This country crap gives me a headache." His eyes landed on Jack's table by the window. "Move. I like that spot." "Sure." Jack didn't argue. He simply gathered their things and shifted to a corner booth, keeping Maya close. She clutched her origami cranes carefully, not wanting to damage them. As they passed the booth where a young woman sat alone, Maya paused. The woman had been nursing a coffee with hands that shook slightly. Up close, Jack could see bruises on her collarbone and finger marks around her wrists, barely hidden by her jacket sleeves. Maya, with that innocent way children have of wanting to help, placed a small blue paper crane on the woman's table. "Safe, bird," she whispered. The woman looked up with eyes that held both fear and desperate hope. "Thank you," she mouthed silently. "Keep moving, kid," Brick sneered, flicking Maya's milkshake straw and sending droplets across the table. Jack reached out calmly and steadied the glass. "Careful there," he said quietly, his voice carrying no challenge. Rex laughed and slid into the booth they'd vacated, pulling the young woman roughly by the arm. "Get over here, Lily. You belong next to me." Lily Carter moved reluctantly, flinching when Rex touched her. Jack noticed how she kept glancing at the door, measuring distances, calculating escape routes. "You thinking about leaving me again?" Rex's voice carried a dangerous edge as he grabbed her wrist, twisting just enough to hurt. "Remember what happened last time you tried that?" The diner fell into uncomfortable silence. Agnes pretended to be busy with dishes. The only other customer kept his eyes down. Nobody wanted to get involved when Iron Howl was around. Maya's fingers tightened around her blue straw, the plastic creaking under pressure. Jack set down his spoon slowly, his eyes moving from the broken origami crane that had fallen from Lily's table to the bruises on her skin to Rex's cruel grip. The wind chimes by the door tinkled softly, a gentle counterpoint to the tension in the room. Jack looked up, his voice cutting through the silence with absolute clarity. "You made a mistake." Rex's hand froze on Lily's wrist. Brick and Talon turned from where they'd been ordering food. Agnes looked up from behind the counter with wide eyes. The blue straw snapped completely in Maya's nervous grip, the sound surprisingly loud in the sudden quiet. But she didn't make a sound, trusting her father completely even as fear made her small hands shake. Jack remained perfectly still, his flannel shirt worn and simple, his appearance completely unthreatening. But something in his eyes, something old and dangerous and absolutely certain, made Rex hesitate for the first time in years. Before we continue to the most intense part, let us know where you're watching from. It's strange how a story from a rainy roadside diner can reach wherever you're sitting. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the moment when a single calm sentence makes an entire biker gang freeze. Rex slowly turned his head, his grip still tight on Lily's wrist. "What did you just say to me?" Jack didn't repeat himself. He simply met Rex's eyes with a calm that seemed to unsettle the biker more than any aggressive response could have. Brick moved first, stepping toward Jack's table with the swagger of someone used to intimidating people. "Old man, you need to mind your business before you get hurt." "Hand over your car keys," Talon added, blocking the path to the door. "Consider it a stupid tax for running your mouth." Maya's hands were shaking, the broken straw pieces falling onto the table. Jack reached over and gently placed his hand over hers, steadying them. Then he pulled the handkerchief embroidered with "safe hands" from his pocket and adjusted it on the table, the movement revealing something on his wrist. A tattoo, just barely visible under his sleeve. "Daddy?" Maya whispered, but Jack gave her a reassuring nod. Brick grabbed Jack's shoulder. "Did you hear me? Keys, now!" In one fluid motion, Jack stood up, his chair scraping back. He didn't throw a punch or make any aggressive move. He simply shifted his weight, and somehow Brick found himself stumbling backward, off balance from his own momentum. Jack's hand moved to the metal napkin holder on the table. He slid it across the surface with practiced precision, sending it skidding on a thin film of condensation toward Brick's feet. The biker instinctively stepped back to avoid it, creating space between them. "Maya, move to the corner booth," Jack said quietly, his voice carrying absolute authority. His daughter immediately obeyed, sliding out of the booth and moving to safety. Rex stood up now, his patience exhausted. "You're making this worse for yourself." He moved toward Lily possessively, his grip on her wrist tightening. "And you're going to watch what happens when people cross me." That's when Jack pulled back his sleeve fully, revealing the tattoo on his forearm. It was distinctive, a broken circle with an arrow pointing outward. Simple but unmistakable to anyone who had seen it before. Lily gasped, the sound sharp in the tense silence. Her eyes locked onto the tattoo, her face going pale. Her free hand flew to her mouth as memories crashed over her like a wave. "No," she whispered. "It can't be." Jack looked at her directly for the first time. Lily Carter, warehouse fire, 16 years ago. The diner seemed to freeze. Even Rex's grip loosened slightly in confusion. Lily's eyes filled with tears. The hands. I remember the hands pulling me out of the smoke. I was 10 years old. I couldn't see faces, just smoke and fire, and she was looking at the tattoo like it was a ghost made real. That tattoo, on the arm that carried me out, I've never forgotten it. Rex's face twisted with anger and confusion. "What the hell are you talking about?" But Lily wasn't looking at him anymore. She was staring at Jack with a mixture of disbelief and recognition. "You said something to me. When you pulled me out, you said, 'You're safe.'" Jack's expression softened slightly. "You were scared. You kept asking if you were going to die. And you told me I was safe," Lily finished, tears now streaming down her face. "I tried to find you. I tried for years, but there were no records, no names. The firefighters said a civilian had pulled me out, but no one knew who." Jack pulled up his sleeve higher, revealing more of the tattoo. "Special rescue operations. We didn't leave records. We just pulled people out." Rex's confusion was turning to rage. "This is some kind of con. Brick, Talon, grab him." But neither man moved. They were watching Lily's genuine reaction, the tears, the recognition. This wasn't staged. Jack reached to his wrist and touched an old watch with a cracked face. "This stopped at 10:19 p.m. That's when the ceiling collapsed. My team member died buying me 2 minutes to get you out." Lily sobbed openly now. 2 minutes. The firefighters told me later that 2 minutes made the difference. If someone had pulled me out 2 minutes later, "You wouldn't be here," Jack finished quietly. The entire diner had gone silent. Even Agnes had stopped pretending to work, watching the scene unfold with wide eyes. Maya, from her corner booth, carefully folded another paper crane. She walked slowly to Lily and placed it in her hand. "Safe, bird," she said softly, the same words she'd said earlier. Lily looked down at the origami crane, then at Maya, then back at Jack. "I've spent 16 years wondering who saved me. And you've been, what? Working construction? Raising a daughter?" Living quietly, Jack said. The work was done. No need for recognition. Rex's face had turned red with fury at being ignored. I don't care about some sob story from years ago. Lily belongs to me. And you? No. Lily's voice cut through his words like steel. She stood up, pulling her wrist from his grip with a strength that surprised everyone. I don't belong to anyone, especially not to you. The wind chimes rang again as the door opened slightly in a gust of wind. But this time the sound seemed different. Like possibility, like change, like the first breath after being held underwater too long. Rex's hand reached for Lily again, but Jack was already moving, positioning himself between them without seeming to try. I told you, Jack said calmly. You made a mistake. Jack raised his hand slowly, palm out, a gesture that somehow commanded more respect than any threat could. Nobody touches anyone. Not anymore. Lily wiped her tears with trembling fingers, her breathing still uneven from the flood of memories. The warehouse. It wasn't just a fire, was it? Jack's jaw tightened slightly. No, it was a cartel operation that went wrong. They were using children as leverage. You were one of 5 kids trapped in there when their own people torched the evidence. Rex's face changed. For the first time, genuine fear flickered in his eyes. Wait, that warehouse belonged to the Salazar cartel. If you were there, I was there because that's what my team did, Jack said quietly. We went places regular emergency services couldn't go. We pulled people out of situations that officially never happened. Lily's voice was barely a whisper. There were others with me. I remember 3 other kids. Did they? All 5 of you made it out, Jack confirmed. But we lost 2 team members doing it, Marcus and Chen. They held the structure long enough for us to evacuate everyone. He touched the cracked watch again. This was Marcus's. He gave it to me in the last minute. Told me to make sure I knew what time it was when I pulled you kids out. Said it was important to remember the exact moment we chose to stay instead of run. The diner was completely silent, except for the rain drumming on the windows. Even Rex had gone quiet, processing the implications of what he was hearing. The fire was at 10:17, Jack continued. Marcus and Chen bought us 2 minutes by manually bracing a support beam that was collapsing. At 10:19, the ceiling came down. They knew it would. Lily pressed her hand to her chest, struggling to breathe. They died. For us? They died doing what we all signed up to do, Jack said, giving people a chance to live. Maya watched from her corner booth, her young face serious beyond her years. She had heard pieces of this story before, late at night when her father thought she was asleep. But she had never heard him tell it to someone who had been there. The scars on my back, Lily said suddenly, her hand moving unconsciously to her shoulder. I always wondered why they were shaped like fingers. You carried me out on your back because I couldn't walk. You had smoke inhalation. You kept passing out. Carrying you was faster. And the handkerchief, Lily looked at the embroidered safe hands cloth on the table. After the hospital, I woke up with a cloth in my hand. The nurses said someone left it with me. It had "You're safe" written on it in marker. We didn't have much else to give, Jack said simply, but I wanted you to have something to hold on to when you woke up scared. Rex suddenly laughed, but it was a harsh, bitter sound. This is insane. You expect me to believe this heroic fairy tale? That you just happened to be some secret rescue operator and Lily just happened to be one of your saves? I don't expect you to believe anything, Jack replied calmly. But the scars on Lily's back don't lie. The cartel warehouse that burned down 16 years ago is a matter of record, even if the details are classified. And this watch stopped at exactly 10:19 p.m. on that date. He pulled out his wallet and extracted a faded photograph. Not for show, but because Lily needed to see it. The photo showed 5 faces, all in tactical gear, all younger than they had any right to be for the work they did. Jack was there, barely recognizable without the years of quiet living that had softened his features. That's my team, he said, pointing to each face. Marcus, Chen, Rodriguez, Kim, and me. 3 of us made it out of that warehouse. The other 2 became the reason I stopped doing the work. Lily took the photo with shaking hands. They look so young. We were young. Too young to understand that saving everyone isn't possible. Jack's voice carried a weight that made even Rex step back. Marcus and Chen taught me that you can't save everyone, but you damn well try for the ones you can reach. Agnes finally spoke up from behind the counter, her elderly voice cutting through the tension. I believe him. My nephew was in a hostage situation 20 years ago. Nobody knows who got him out, but he woke up in a hospital with a broken watch and a note that said, "You're safe." Same handwriting as that handkerchief. The revelation hung in the air. Jack had never sought recognition, never told his stories, but the evidence of his past was scattered across years of silent rescues. Brick and Talon exchanged glances. They had come here ready to hurt someone for their leader, but now they were standing in the presence of something they didn't understand. Genuine courage that didn't need to announce itself. You could have been someone, Rex said, though his voice had lost its earlier aggression. Special ops, government contracts, medals, fame. Instead, you're what? A nobody in a flannel shirt? Jack looked at Maya, who was watching him with complete trust and pride. I'm a father. That's not nothing. The cracked watch on his wrist caught the dim light. 10:19 p.m., frozen forever as a reminder of the price of salvation. Lily clutched the photo and the origami crane Maya had given her. 16 years. I've spent 16 years looking for the person who saved me, and you've just been living? The work was done, Jack repeated. You were safe. That was the mission. Everything after that is just life. Outside, the rain continued to fall. Inside, the diner held its breath as three violent men realized they were standing across from someone who had already paid prices they couldn't imagine. And a young woman recognized that the hands that had once pulled her from fire were now quietly holding a child's origami crane, teaching his daughter that strength wasn't about domination, but about knowing when to step forward and when to step back. The wind chimes sang softly, and for the first time in years, Lily Carter felt something she had almost forgotten. Safe. The moment of peace shattered when red and blue lights suddenly washed through the diner's windows. A police cruiser pulled up outside, followed by another. Rex's face went white. What the? I called them, Lily said quietly, her voice steady despite the tears still on her cheeks. 20 minutes ago when I went to the bathroom. The diner erupted in chaos. Rex lunged toward Lily, but Jack was already there, not striking but simply blocking, his body a wall between violence and its intended target. You did what? Rex roared. You called the cops on me? On us? Lily stood her ground, something fundamental shifting in her posture. She wasn't cowering anymore. I called them on myself. I told them I needed help getting away from you. I told them about the drugs in your saddlebags. I told them everything. Brick moved toward the back door, but it opened before he could reach it. Two officers entered, hands on their weapons. Everyone stay where you are, the lead officer commanded. She was a woman in her 40s with sharp eyes that quickly assessed the situation. We got a call about a domestic disturbance and illegal substances. Rex pointed at Jack. This guy attacked us. He's been threatening us all night. But the officer's eyes had already moved to Lily's bruised wrists, the finger marks on her collarbone, the way she was standing close to Jack and Maya rather than near Rex. Ma'am, the officer addressed Lily. Are you the one who called dispatch? Lily nodded, her voice gaining strength with each word. Yes, I'm Lily Carter. I've been held against my will by Rex Dalton for 8 months. He has methamphetamine in his motorcycle saddlebags, and he's violated his parole by crossing state lines. She's lying, Rex shouted, but his desperation was obvious. She's my girlfriend. She's just mad because you beat me last week so badly I couldn't work for 3 days, Lily interrupted. Lily, because you threatened to kill my sister if I tried to leave? Because you've been using me as a courier for your drug deals? The female officer nodded to her partner, who moved to secure Rex. Rex Dalton, you're under arrest for possession with intent to distribute, parole violation, and domestic assault pending investigation. Rex struggled as the handcuffs clicked into place. This is bullshit. Lily, tell them. Tell them you're with me willingly. But Lily was already shaking her head. She reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a small voice recorder. I've been recording everything for 2 months. Every threat, every deal, every time you hit me. I was waiting for the right moment to run, and tonight I found it. She looked at Jack, her eyes wet but clear. When I saw that tattoo, I remembered what you told me 16 years ago. You said, "You're safe now, but you have to stay strong." I've been trying to stay strong, but I forgot I could save myself too. Maya stepped forward and took Lily's hand. You did save yourself. Dad just stood in the corner. Jack smiled slightly at his daughter's wisdom. That's right. Lily made the call. Lily collected the evidence. We just stood in the corner until she was ready. The officers were searching the motorcycles outside. Within minutes, they returned with evidence bags containing drugs and weapons. Brick and Talon were also being read their rights, their earlier bravado completely gone. Agnes came out from behind the counter with a blanket and wrapped it around Lily's shoulders. You did good, honey. Real good. The female officer approached Jack. Sir, I need your statement about what happened here tonight. Nothing happened, Jack said calmly. These gentlemen came in, had some words with Ms. Carter, and she decided she wanted police assistance to leave a difficult situation. I simply made sure everyone stayed calm until you arrived. The officer looked at the overturned napkin holder, the shifted tables, the defensive positioning of the diner's layout. She wasn't buying the simplicity of his account, but she also recognized someone who knew how to de-escalate without creating more paperwork. And you are? Jack Rowan. I was just having dinner with my daughter. The officer's eyes caught the tattoo on his wrist, the cracked watch, the military bearing he couldn't quite hide. She nodded slowly. Thank you for your cooperation, Mr. Rowan. As Rex was being let out, he made one final attempt. Lily, baby, please, don't do this to us. Lily's voice was clear and final. There is no us. There never was. You took me when I was broken, and you kept me broken. But I'm not that person anymore. She held up the origami crane Maya had given her. Someone taught me a long time ago that safe hands exist. I just forgot to look for them. Dershmam. The police cruisers pulled away, taking Rex and his crew into a future of prison sentences and broken gang loyalty. The diner fell quiet again except for the rain and the soft tinkling of wind chimes. Maya hugged Lily. You were very brave. So were you, Lily replied, looking at Jack. Both of you. You didn't save me tonight. You reminded me I could save myself. Jack touched his daughter's head gently. That's what safe hands do, Maya. They don't carry you. They just steady you until you can walk on your own. Outside, the storm was beginning to clear, and through the clouds, the first stars were visible in the night sky. The diner gradually returned to its quiet rhythm. Agnes brought fresh coffee and warm pie for everyone. Maya continued folding paper cranes while Lily sat wrapped in the blanket, still processing what she had just done. You should go home, Agnes said gently, touching Lily's shoulder. Get some rest. Start fresh tomorrow. Lily nodded but hesitated. I don't have anywhere that's safe anymore. Rex knew where I lived. Jack looked at Maya, who was already reaching into her backpack. She pulled out a card and handed it to Lily. This is Mrs. Chen's number. She runs the shelter downtown. She helped us when Mom died. Before anyone could respond, headlights cut through the clearing rain. A dark SUV pulled up outside the diner. A woman in a forest green jacket stepped out, her badge partially visible. She entered and approached their table with purpose. Jack Rowan. Jack's expression remained neutral. Yes. I'm Agent Sarah Morrison. I need to speak with you about tonight. She glanced at Lily. And about the young woman who saved herself. Lily tensed, but the agent raised her hand. You're not in trouble, Ms. Carter. Actually, I'm here because someone in our office recognized a pattern. The safe hand symbol. It's been appearing at rescue sites for 2 decades. She pulled out a folder and opened it to show photographs. Emergency scenes, hostage situations, disaster zones. In each photo, someone had left behind a handkerchief or cloth with safe hands, or simply, "You're safe" written on it. We want to make it official, Agent Morrison said. A hotline, a network, people who stand in corners and steady others until they can walk on their own. She looked directly at Jack. We're calling it the Safe Hands Initiative. Jack glanced at Maya. His daughter smiled and nodded. I only stand in corners when needed, Jack said carefully. That's exactly what we need, Agent Morrison replied. Not heroes. Just people who know when to step forward and when to step back. The wind chimes sang one final note as the agent left her card on the table. Maya touched the cracked watch on her father's wrist. It's still 10:19, Dad. Jack looked at his daughter, then at Lily, then at the card. Maybe it's time to let the watch tick again. Some tattoos aren't for showing off. They're reminders of who you pulled out of the fire. Some hands aren't for fighting. They're for holding on at exactly the right moment. A father's strength isn't in his fists, but in his ability to make others feel less afraid. Where are you watching from? Which moment moved you most? When the tattoo was revealed? When Lily called the police herself? Or when the wind chimes sang as everything came together? Comment below to help this story reach further. And remember to subscribe to Hero Dad Stories for more tales where a quiet presence changes everything.